Well, good morning, everyone. You know, I was there that day, obviously, but watching it and reliving the experience again, it really just gives me chills. So I'm going to freelance a little bit, which my team always gets a little nervous about. But I feel very motivated by this moment. I don't have to tell you that for far too long in the city, we've faced, and many of us have endured, historic wrongs. We've seen what happens when we don't invest in people and places. We've seen what happens when we don't face the reality of systemic racism. We see what happens when we allow others to tell our narrative and that we don't take ownership of that ourselves. Unapologetically, for the last 3.5 years, what I and what we have been about is taking on those challenges and saying, these are not our truths. Our truths are, we have a beautiful mosaic of a city. Our truth is that in neighborhoods that have been disinvested in, nonetheless, we and the residents in those neighborhoods endure. And not only endure, but thrive. Find that common ground and challenge each other every single day to come together as community, but importantly, to recognize the humanity in each and every one of us. So my hope in thinking about this moment and that we are in a real inflection point in the city of Chicago's history is a real opportunity for us to come together, to see each other as brothers and sisters on the same journey toward the same end, which is to have good life, safe neighborhoods, vibrancy, and really claim our stake and what it means to be a Chicagoan. For far too long, we've let race, ethnicity, income, transportation, segregation, the list is long, divide us. Part of healing has to be about us coming back together to recognize that each of us is God's child, and that each of us has something to contribute in our own way. No, not each of us will stand and be the mayor or be a commissioner of a department, but each of us has something to give and contribute, even if it's just inside of our home or on our block. That's what this healing is to me. Reckoning with the reality, but creating a pathway forward for us to heal. That's why I think one of the most important powers that I have as a mayor, we have as an administration, is the power of convening. The power of shining a spotlight, not just on the problems, but making sure that we are focused on the solutions. And I'm also a firm believer that the people who are closest to the problems are also closest to the solutions, which means that every time that we engage with you and community, that we have to come with a humble heart and with a listening ear. And we have to find that common ground, even when it's really difficult, even when the challenges seem insurmountable. There's nothing that we can't do, no problem that we can't solve if we come together. We have proved that over and over again, most recently through COVID. And let me emphasize that in particular. When COVID came to Chicago in March of 2020, we didn't know what this was. In our lifetimes, we had not seen anything like it. And it could have been a moment where we were in total despair and fear and frustration. But that's not what happened in our city. We rose up and we came together and we said that we're going to do everything we can to save every single life possible, even through this daunting global pandemic where all we knew in our early days is that it spread really quickly and that it was deadly. People in this audience, I can see you. I know you were on the front lines. I know you were working hard in your neighborhoods and you were part of what became the most dynamic and equitable vaccine distribution program in the country. You did this. You did this. You helped heal your communities. You helped educate. You helped get people to testing. You helped make sure that the vaccine was available. You saved lives because we worked together. And we are doing the same kind of work when it comes to public safety. Those of you who are longtime residents, I don't have to tell you. Violence in Chicago, unfortunately, has been part of who we are for far too long. I came to the city in 1986. It was here then. But I am determined to do everything I can with every power, every tool that I have to make it part of our past, not our perpetual future. But we can't do it unless we work together. So a year ago, we started a plan to go into the 15 most violent neighborhoods based on historical data to ask a simple but important question. What will it take to make you feel safe on a block-by-block level? Again, working together, being very clear-eyed about the challenges. And the answer to those questions was different in Roseland than it was in West Garfield Park. It was different in Inglewood than it was in South Shore. But because we came together, year over year, we're seeing 20 and 30% declines in violence in these neighborhoods. That story needs to be told because it's your story. It's not my story. It's your story. It's the Chicago story, again, of us coming together, doing what was necessary to say, in this time, in this place, we are reclaiming the geography under our feet, and we are going to make a peaceful place for our families and our children and our elders to thrive. That's what healing looks like to me. And it's you have told us and pushed us, Mayor, we need more mental health resources in our communities. And we've answered that. Raising the budget for mental health services by 10 times since 2019. And by the end of this year, there will be free mental health resources to attend to the needs of our residents, from our elders down to our children, in every single one of our 77 neighborhoods. You made that happen because you said, here's a need, and we said, how do we meet that need? Working together in partnership. And I've got to give an incredible debt of gratitude to the community-based organizations all across our city who are helping every single day, who are doing the Lord's work, because that's what must be done. I want to give a shout out to our FQHCs who make sure that there is no wrong door for people who are in need of health care, mental health resources. We're relying upon them so heavily now more than ever. I got to give a debt of gratitude to the various anti-violence organizations that are out there, Moms That Demand Action and others, also the street outreach and innovation folks. There is a body of warriors that are out in every neighborhood doing everything that we can to bring our city together, to address the needs, to right these historical wrongs, but to chart a very clear path toward the future. We owe each and every one of you and them a debt of gratitude. So that brings us back to the moment that we're in. And folks, I also would be remiss if I didn't thank Candace Moore and her team. Candace has done a phenomenal job, I am proud to say, and has really re-envisioned what equity looks like. We started out by making sure that within city government, in every department, that people were viewing the work that they did every day, from the streets and sanitation workers, to the public health administrators, to the Department of Family and Support Services, police department, fire, every single department, making sure that they were viewing the work that they did in delivering services to our city, to our residents, was viewed with an equity lens. That meant challenging ourselves in the way that we hired, the way that we created internal policies, but also the way in which we interacted in community. That when we are present, we have to be present, as I said, with a humble heart and a listening ear, and making sure that we are living our values every single day by manifesting that in the work that we do on behalf of our residents. And Candace and her team have made that happen, and we owe her a debt of gratitude for that. So friends, something else that you should know is this. Back in April of 2020, I foolishly hoped that the pandemic would be over by the fall of 2020. Well, we know that didn't turn out the way I'd hoped. But even then, we started thinking about how do we recover? How do we heal? What do we do to make sure that we're not just recovering economically? That was important, obviously. But how do we make sure that we understand what this has done, this pandemic, to upend people's lives? I've said this many times in my reflections. I don't think any of us understood how much we clung to and depended upon the predictability in our daily routines and lives. All of that was taken away from us. And we had to rethink every day, every moment, in a very different way. And we're doing that, and I think we're getting to a better place. But as a city, we needed to make sure that we were very focused on how we recover. And that's why when we stood up a recovery task force, it wasn't just about the economics. The economics were important, but we looked at what harms and challenges have our residents faced. How do we make sure that we are meeting this moment and meeting people where they are? And so part of the recovery plan that then we rolled out in July of 2020 focused on mental health, strengthening families, supporting our young people. The range of soft powers that we all have, not just the economic development. And then growing out of that was the work that Candace and her team did. Now fast forward, we announced a plan a year ago called the Chicago Recovery Plan. It's $1.9 billion with a B, using the rescue plan monies that we got from the federal government, but supplementing them with a social impact bond that we also floated. And we wanted to make sure that we were, again, very thoughtful and intentional about meeting the needs of our residents in every community with these dollars, or really our WPA moment, as I've called it. We've not had monies like these in the city of Chicago, maybe ever, but certainly since coming out of the Great Depression. So we needed to be thoughtful, which is why we engaged with you to help us write the script for how we were going to invest in these dollars. And you told us quite clearly what you wanted. But coming out of that was making sure that we carved out money for the healing part of this process, and we did. We made sure that we carved out $5 million from the Chicago Recovery Plan to create the Together We Heal Creative Place grants. And we're going to talk more about that because I think some of the award winners are here in the audience today, and we want to make sure that we celebrate and highlight them. But the video that you saw, the Mahalia Jackson Pop Corridor Public Outdoor Plaza, is one of 12 that will be popping up, no pun intended, across the city. Here again, we went into community and we said, how do we reimagine these vacant lots? How do we make sure that we turn it into something that the community wants, and that we invest not only in this place-based investment, but that we create opportunities for young people and for artists in these locations? That pop court is right at 79th and the Dan Ryan. And by the way, the notable place here, remember back about 5 or 6 years ago, Father Flagler and the faith community of St. Sabina invited us to march on the Dan Ryan to talk about violence in our city. Well, the staging ground for that march is now the Mahalia Jackson Pop Court, 79th and the Dan Ryan. And it's a beautiful location. If you haven't seen it, please go there. It features a beautiful mural and statue. You saw a little clip of that in the video for Mahalia Jackson, who spent most of her artistic life here in Chicago. even though she was from New Orleans. She sang and popularized gospel music, as many of you know, and sang in churches all across the South and the West Side. There's a little mini museum about her life and accomplishments that's on the site, but also if you travel that route, you can get a cup of coffee and a little something to eat going to the train or coming from the train. Those are the kind of spaces and opportunities that we're creating across the city with some of these dollars. But let me take you back to the $5 million in the Together We Heal grants. These grants are awarded to individuals and organizations in historically disadvantaged communities who are creating artistic projects that highlight a community's history, culture, and assets. And friends, we don't know enough about our history in the city of Chicago. Again, many neighborhoods have great histories, people that have lived in the neighborhoods, events that have happened in these historic neighborhoods. We need to make sure that we tell and memorialize those stories so not only we know our narrative, that our young people coming behind us also know it. We don't do a good enough job in the city of Chicago in capturing and telling and celebrating our history, and these grants are intended to take a step in the right direction to turn that around. These projects will leverage the creative potential present in our communities and honor the work already taking place. So I want to thank all of our applicants and grantees for their project proposals. Now, I will also say we have a history in this administration. You may not have won this time, but if you got a great idea, we're going to work with you and make it happen. So don't be discouraged if you weren't one of the winners, because we may come back to you and say, let's make this happen. Let's do it anyway, and let's provide the resources to make that happen. So I want to say thank you for identifying creative ways to honor the richness of our history, highlight the beauty and the promise of our neighborhoods. And while each of your projects are different, they each represent a shared goal of using art and creativity to build bridges towards other people. Another important pillar of this year of healing. How do we build bridges that we can travel to other people and over which they can travel to us? Coming together, finding our humanity, making sure that we understand that no matter what neighborhood you're in, no matter where you hail from, no matter what part of the world that you may have come from, you're all Chicagoans. We are brothers and sisters together. We're all neighbors. And if we remember that and live that mantra every single day, our city will be the better for it. So thank you very much for giving me this moment. Thank you all for knowing the importance of this work. And I'd like to welcome our D-Case Commissioner, Aaron Harkey. You're not going to find a more dedicated leader. Aaron, come on up. Share some good news with us.
Well, thank you, Mayor, for your leadership. As the Mayor mentioned, I think we really are at a really critical and kind of pivotal moment, and we're working to expand our reach, working in collaboration with other city agencies and departments to leverage the power of the arts to transform and uplift our communities. I think this new day wouldn't have been possible without the Mayor's, I think, deep understanding and support for the work that the arts can do and contribute to the conversation, so I want to thank you for that. I also want to thank Candace Moore. Candace and I became fast friends and sisters and collaborators during the pandemic, and her entire team. I also want to thank the D-Case team, Maida McNeil, who is the lead administrator for this program, and Kalina Chevalier, who is our Deputy Commissioner of Grants and Cultural Resources, for the excellent job they did stewarding this process to this point, and they'll be along with you, grantees, on your journey. I'd also like to take the moment to just thank Commissioner Brown and his team for hosting us today. We were also in very deep collaboration with the libraries, and so we'll have some exciting announcements about those collaborations in the future. As the Mayor mentioned, I'm Erin Harkey. I am the Commissioner of the Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events, more affectionately known as D-Case. And we support artists and cultural organizations. We invest in the creative economy, and we work to expand access and participation in the arts throughout all of Chicago's 77 neighborhoods, all of which aligns perfectly with today's summit and the Year of Healing initiative. Today, we're excited to announce the 48 grantees for the Together We Heal Creative Place program. It's part of the Year of Healing and represents a substantial investment in our city's arts sector. The Creative Place program focuses on arts-based solutions with the belief that creative works can play a significant role in addressing systematic inequities, act as a convener for dialogue, encourage problem solving, and spur positive transformation in communities throughout the city. This is a $5.5 million investment, which deserves a round of applause. And it's made possible by a significant increase in our 2022 DCASE budget, which includes $26 million in new arts and culture investments. This is the most in the city's history that it's investing in arts and culture. We know that there is work to be done here in the city to address historic harms, to recover from the pandemic, but the imagination of our talented artists working with our community organizations can chart a path forward. Revitalizing and uplifting our neighborhoods is our #1 priority, and arts and culture need to be central to that. Our 48 Creative Place program grantees were selected from more than 180 applications based on artistic merit, project feasibility, benefit to the community, community engagement experience, and connection to the Together We Heal 3-pillar framework of reflecting on our past, reclaiming our present, and reimagining our future. The grants are going to range in size from $25,000 to $500,000, and they'll support a wide range of projects in architecture, dance, film, music, performance art, photography, public art, and theater. It's a really wide, diverse array of projects that we're seeing, and we're so excited to see how they develop over time. So we're going to tell you a little bit more about them, and Candace is going to come up to help me do that.
Can we get the list? All right, we're gonna do this Oscar style.
So you guys know what to do. Stand up when we announce your grant, and then we'll go from there. So the first grants that we're going to announce, there were basically 2 tiers. There were activation grants, which were smaller, time-limited engagements with communities. And so the first of those, these are going to be $25,000 grants. The first one goes to the Creative Reuse Exchange for THUG Hippie, Thug Hippie, the Creative Bus. Lit Feelings, Julaine Hale, acting up in South Deering and Once Upon a Pose. Chicago Urban Art Retreat Center, Diana C. Long Neighborhood Healing Project. Wayfinding LLC, Livette Haynes, Wayfinding Westside Lagoons. Brianna Ramirez Smith, Marcos Rios, The Giving Tree Mural of Humboldt Park.
And our next category, I really do feel like I'm in the Oscars, is $45,000. And the first recipient is Affinity Community Services, Jen Freeman, POCHOP, the People's Church of the Ghetto. We Sow, We Grow Project, the Black Bloom Project, Roots and Bloom. Greater Auburn Gresham Community Development Corporation, Maxwell MKs, thank you. Signs of Change on 79th Street. Urban Juncture Foundation, Asia Taylor, Train of Thought. Kiela Smith Upton, Tashay Geraldine Hebert, We Are Legacy, our Greater South Shore. Urban Male Network, Pugs Adams, Changing the Inglewood Landscape. Bridge to Freedom, James Crum, Chicago Soul Arts. $6018 North, non-for-profit, Wisdom Beatty, Soil and Soul. Front Porch Arts Center, Free Street Theater, Front Porch Teen Theater and Storytelling Workshops. Free Spirit Media, Westside Association for Community Action, You Can't Kill the Revolution, a cinematic celebration of arts and activism on Chicago's West Side. Melissa Lewis, Christian Roldan, Aponte, Reclaiming Sanctuary. Instituto Gaspar Yanga, Brown Wall Project, Plugs and Connections. La Escuelita Bombera de Corazón, 18th Street Casa de Cultura, Agua. Y'all testing my Spanish. I gotta brush up on it. The Southwest Collective, Nitia Flores, Archer Ave Art Cafe. Jennifer Farm, Christopher Quay Hactron, Argyle Community Healing and Placekeeping Project. North River Commission, Natalia Vera Fuentes, We Are Albany Park. Hana Center, Aram Han Cifuentes, Citizenship for All, Storytelling for Immigrant Justice through Nongi Making. Chicago Mobile Makers, Maya Bird Murphy, Interlocking Visions, Strength in Communities. Haitian American Museum, Cranston Ramirez Knight, Healing Through a Pandemic. Red Clay Dance Company, Rashawn Sanders Ward, Rest, Rise, Move, Nourish, Heal. Puerto Rican Arts Alliance, Afri-Caribe, I messed that up. Camino Cultura, Activando Nuestro Espacio Comunitario. I'm trying, y'all.
So next we're going to announce our transformation grants. So these are larger scale grants in the neighborhood of $100,000, $250,000, and $500,000, and these are given to projects which are going to have a long-term, sustainable, transformational impact in our neighborhoods. So first, at the $100,000 level, we want to acknowledge Urban Growers Collective, Chicago Art Department, South Chicago Farm Outdoor Art Studio. We're doing an art studio and a culinary makerspace, design charrettes and activation. Muddy Waters Mojo Museum, Chicago Blues Revival. The Mojo Garden and Performance Center. Prison Plus Neighborhood Arts Education Project with Sarah Ross, Wall Turned Sideways. Territory Not-for-Profit, Root to Fruit Youth Foundation, Austin Safely Action Plan, Austin 2.0. Taproots Incorporated, Antidote Incorporated, Creative Conversations. Mandala South Asian Performing Arts, Indo-American Center, Arts Access and Cultural Healing on Devon, Chicago's Little South Asia. The Miracle Center Incorporated, Nitsa Rosario, TMC Project Synergy. The Chicago Therapy Collective, Aisha Love, Together We Remember Elise. People Matter, Angela Lynn, Breaking Community Bubbles. And Pilar Adain, Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation. Year of Transformation through Solidarity.
All right, our next category in transformation grants are those who receive $250,000. Woo! So the first up is Sisters in Cinema, Yvonne Wellborn, South Shore Remembers. Rome in a Day Production, Chicago, Alexandria Akins, Parkway Picture Show. Folded Map Project, Chicago Bungalow Association. Unblock until the harmful effects of project. Arc of Treasures, People for Community Recovery, Riverdale Creative Cultural Connections Project. Let Us Breathe Collective, Central American Martyrs, Tukasa Catholic Worker, Liberation Landing. Contextos, Mayafa Redemption Project, Sankofa Story Garden, Reflecting, Visioning, Co-Creating. The Firehouse Community Arts Center, Haman Cross III, Bell Park, Changing the Narrative and Healing Together through Arts, Play, and Life. Sadia Nawab, Iman Central, Imanifest Studios. The Foundation for Home and Square, Alexi Young, Celebrating Creativity and Culture in Home and Square, Public Space Improvements for Health, Safety, Belonging on Homan Avenue. The American Indian Health Service of Chicago, Incorporated, Cindy Fox Starr, Mending Intergenerational and Historical Trauma, MITE.
Want to do this together?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last, we have two $500,000 grantee recipients. The first is Deeply Rooted Dance Theater, Blacks and Green, Growing Together, a dance and garden project on the South Side.
And our final $500,000, Full Spectrum Features, Latinos Progresando, Community Storytelling. Let's give everyone a round of applause. Okay, so we're gonna take a big old group picture, family picture, because we wanna make sure we capture this moment. So I'm gonna invite all of our grantees to the stage, and we're gonna take one big group picture. Make sure you get a chance to shake hands with the mayor. Actually, I think the mayor wants to say a few words before.
So I just want to say one other thing, and I think you all know this. One of the things that we must do to truly heal is be fiduciaries to the work and fiduciaries to each other. All of these grantees, every single one, from the $25,000 all the way up to the $500K, which, by the way, is a lot of money. Do good. Do good in your community. Do good in strengthening what needs to be strengthened. Do good in trying to reach those who need that heal, that touch, that knows that somebody else cares about them. Take, in an earnest way, your responsibility as a fiduciary to our great city, to our history, to our heritage, and to our healing. So thank you very much. Come on up and let's get a picture.
Yep. Mayor, they're gonna shake your hand. I know I can shake your hand.
I'm a side tall person.
Thank you so much.
know if you were like.
Congratulations.
When I ran into you at James. Thank you so much. Thank you. I know.
Nice to meet you too. All right. After we take the photo, follow me.
I know.
Yeah, I know. I've been a little.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You're like,
Hey.
hi, ready?
Where's Walter?